Right, so we're back at Mad Ford, and Mick is going to give us a little bit of a tour of some of the Gucci parts, as he calls it, on Bob. So we're going to take a look at some of the things we've found as we've been working on him over the last couple of weeks, and then some of the bits that we're probably going to look at fit into him, which will make him back to his full FFR spec.
Absolutely.
So let's have a look around him. Right, so starting at the front there, Mick, what we got?
Okay, so being ex-military, it's got the correct lifting eyes on the front. The one thing it is missing is its bumperettes. So they're the correct bumperettes.
So what would they have been for? Are they just for general protection or?
Protection, and you can push another Land Rover.
Got ya.
Because they line up perfectly with the rear bumperettes, as you can see on that Land Rover there. There's your rear bumperette. So you can actually push another Land Rover. So that's your front bumperettes. Moving a little bit forward, because Bob's FFR, it has wing tuning units on the wings with the antenna base, and depending on its setup, it would have either had one or two. I always like to add two because symmetrical always looks better.
Yeah, but they would have run with one potentially.
They could have done, yeah. They could have done, depending on what sets were fitted in the back.
Okay.
And we can show the good people what sets should be in the back in a little bit.
Yeah.
So inside the wing box, you've got what's known as a TUAM, which stands for Tuning Unit Automatic Antenna Matching. So any of you guys that remember CB back in the 80s, and you had to swar the aerial by moving the aerial up and down, this clever little box of electronics and rotating gizmos and voodoo, this does it for you. So it would have one in each wing box at the front. The cables Bob's already got in here that come out of there, and these go round. There you go, there's your 7-pin, and that will go onto that one. There's your BNC, and that BNC there goes onto ISK2, which is that one there. So Bob's already got the cables ready because he's FFR.
And we've determined, haven't we, that those boxes on the wings,
yes,
you probably shouldn't have had those.
No, they were fitted later in its life, I would guess. With Bob being a later FFR, it should actually have a wing flap.
Yeah. Because
the cables are actually stowed below the wing level. These were an earlier rendition before that kind of wing was put into service. So for whatever reason, perhaps the flaps have gone missing.
Yeah.
And rather than putting a new flap on, someone's just come up and said, yeah, we'll just put the boxes on.
Do you think that would have been done in the military?
I would guess so, yes. Some reamy guy has come along and said, why are you changing the wing? Let's just nail a box on it.
Yeah.
Because these are usually lightweight.
Okay.
On a lightweight, because they've got no provision under the wing to store cables, the lightweight normally has a box.
Yeah.
On there. So that's your two TUAM units. Okay, so we're inside Bob, and being military, it's got its 6-way switch for the lights. So you've got tail, side and tail, head, side and tail. So that's your normal headlights. And then you've got the convoy mode. So convoy, which is total blackout, just the rear lamp on the back that we showed you in the video when we were underneath. And you've got Convoy S, which is convoy with side lights, depending on how you're running. So that's your 6-dial.
There would have been infrared as well, wouldn't there? But we think they've taken that out.
I think that's been took out. The infrared switch has gone, which is a little bit rubbish anyway. So yeah, it's probably good that that's gone. Yeah. Bob also comes with a map reading light, so obviously you can read your ops.
I mean, that was one of the main reasons we bought him, just finding these little gadgets.
Of course, yes. Obviously, your daily reminder plate. They don't always have that, but that's kind of standard military. There's also a sticker that should be on the windscreen to give you top speeds, which I've got. I'll give you one of them just to remind you of top speeds.
What is the top speed?
About 50, they say. That's what you should do. Okay. 45, 50.
Yep.
Then we noticed these two bolts in the dashboard. Now, they've been tubed as well inside the dash. So you were thinking, that's interesting. Why is the 2/4 UNF bolts nailed through the dashboard? And then we looked at the floor. And then we noticed that the carpet has been cut round a square. What could that be for? And we did a little bit of thinking, didn't we, Dave?
Yep.
And then we came up with this, which happens to sit perfectly in the hole, and even the 2 bolt holes line up in the floor. So what could that be for, you're thinking? And then this goes on a bracket just there. So yet again, what is that? What is that for?
Puzzling.
Let me show you what it's for. So we have your standard service side service rifle, which is the SA80 L1A2, which fits perfectly. The butt goes into that perfect bracket at the bottom, like so, and then this clips around the barrel and holds your service rifle in the dashboard. So ordinarily, on a GS vehicle, which is general service, the SLRs are usually mounted on 2 brackets. We'll show you that in a little bit on Florence. Here, behind the driver, so you've got driver's weapon and the passenger's weapon. But because Bob's FFR, the batteries are in the middle, and you've got a shunt box here and the rectifier here. There's no room to put the SA80 mounts in, so they just fitted one for the passenger on the floor and the dash. So that's going to be reinstated, so Bob will obviously have a weapon.
It's going to be awesome.
Yes. These aren't real. These are just airsoft that I've stripped and painted to make them look real. Genuine Susat sight cover, genuine sling. Paint them up, dry brush them, make them look used. And when they're bolted in the vehicle, or strapped into the vehicle, they look absolutely fantastic. So there you go. This little device here. Let me just talk about these. These are the earlier rendition of the rifle mounts. These are for the SLR, which would bolt there and there, and your rifle would sit across the bulkhead.
Are there already holes in here?
There is.
Yeah, I can see them.
Yeah. They've never been drilled because Bob never had SLR.
Yeah.
When Bob came into service, SLR had already been defunct. But they're your earlier rendition of your gun mounts.
So Bob was 1981.
Yeah.
And then I think he went into Hilton before he was assigned.
Yeah.
So
So I can't quite remember when SLR left the forces. I would guess late 80s. Mid 80s, I don't know, I can't remember. But yeah, I don't think Bob's he's never had SLR mounts in. So as we were talking about the shunt boxes, because he's 24 volt and he's got a generator under the bonnet, the generator under the bonnet is a 3-phase generator, which is AC. You guys that know about electrics and pixies and things, that has to be converted to DC. So these 2 boxes combined turn your 3-phase into 24 volts DC, and then you can charge the batteries. This looks military. I've never seen one before, but that's a Pi loudspeaker that's been added. We say it's military because the wire coming out of it has actually got military part numbers on. So that could have been somebody asked one day, "Can you put me a speaker in so I can listen to my favourite sounds?" I don't know. We're just surmising. Cool little feature there as well. On each side there's a little box, if you can see there, that houses the cables that go to the radio, so when they're not in use they get coiled up and put into those little boxes. So it's good that Bob's still got them. And we were puzzled, Dave, weren't we, about this?
Yep.
Little trinket tray that Dave's been using to put his odds and ends in. And then it dawned on me, it's a jerry can holder. It's shaped exactly as a jerry can would be, and it sits in the middle. I've only ever seen these in Series 2A FFRs, never seen them in a 3 FFR, but it's not to say that it wouldn't have had one.
So you think that could have been added again in the military, potentially?
I think it has, yeah. It's got the correct bolts, the UNF bolts. 7/16 UNF, sorry, quarter UNF. So it's got the correct bolts in. and it's got the same shade of NATO green. So yeah.
And how would they secure it in the 2As? It's just a strap over the top.
Strap over the top,
yeah.
And we were talking about the cables going to the Chuan boxes, which you got 7-pin, you got a BNC. From the factory, they actually came with cables already in. These ones here, which were for Larkspur, which is a radio set before Klansman. These I've never ever seen these used in a Series 3. I think it was just a leftover from on the build sheet from the 2As that they just never ever took off. And the other end's stowed under the bonnet, isn't it? Because we saw the stowage points for them. So I guarantee they've never been used.
I guess they just had these in production and then just never took it out.
I think what happens is a specification is given to Land Rover for when the 2A was in service, and I guess perhaps that just got forgot and it just got carried over onto Series 3. Plus the fact, I suppose, as well, if you think about redundancy, if you wanted to use a Larkspur radio set for whatever reason, you've still got the capability of plugging in.
Yeah.
Who knows? You know.
It's interesting though, isn't it?
It is. It's like Land Rover archaeology, isn't it? You know, you're looking into things, and like that was a light bulb moment when we saw that on the floor, and oh yeah, that's the gun mount. Oh yeah, you know, and other little bits and bobs that you come up with.
We found a few bits in the tub as well, haven't we?
We have. Let's talk about bits in the tub. Okay, so as we all know what FFR means now, fitted for radio. So Bob would have had Dexion, which is basically angle iron with lots of holes in, from left to right to bolt all the military stuff on. We'll show you an example.
Sort of running across.
Yeah, left
here.
to right.
Yeah.
2 sections of it, and it would have had 2 flags either end holding the Dexion. And I just happen to have one of the flags here, and in the body there's actually 2 riv nuts already there, and would you believe they line up absolutely perfectly for where the flag would be. Then it has a reinforcing bracket which bolts on there and goes down to there. And would you believe there's even a riv nut there to take this bracket. So Bob, under no shadow of doubt, 150% would have had Dexion across there, which I think you're going to re-add, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So another little bit of history. You find these little golden nuggets and you go, oh.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because someone had bolted in across here, like you'd have seen in the last video, that big piece of wood where they'd stuck those horrible headrests on. Yeah. But actually, it would have had the Dexion across there.
It would, yeah. Yeah, would have had the Dexion, which we'll show the viewers the Dexion. So looking down the side of Bob, you can see it's had some weird things added. No idea what they're for. And it's got some accident damage repairs and various stuff. But you see those 2 holes there? There would also have been 2 corresponding holes down here.
But that plate's covered it.
That plate's covered it. I think the reinforcing plate is still on the back. Yes, it is. If you can shine in there, Dave. See this bracket here?
Yeah.
With 2 captive nuts in?
Yeah.
That's where your candlestick bracket would mount on the side to hold the 2 more antennas, one this side and one that side.
Yeah.
So that goes to show that it's definitely had candlesticks on the back, which again we can show later. Twin toolboxes in the back, because she's military. She has toolboxes in the back, one that side and one that side. Yeah.
Yep.
Bob even came with his original jack, which is quite cool. And you've got the jack handle as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
I think I saw that around somewhere.
Oh, it's there.
There he is. When we get behind the seats, there should be some clips for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to go on the back and where the starting, because this should come with a starting handle as well.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
I've actually got a starting handle down there. So that's what that was for. That's your jack handle.
I have to start it by hand.
Yeah, it starts by hand. There you go, that fits in there. And then that screws the jack up and down. Very cool. It's got these slider bars on the floor. All military Land Rovers have these for protection and to slide boxes in and out.
Yeah.
They also have the load restraints, which yours hasn't got.
With
It's got a couple at the back.
With the sliding bars, are they with the sort of standard series, the civilian spec ones?
They were an option.
Okay.
They were an option.
Yeah.
If you didn't option them, they were just a flat floor.
Yeah.
But yeah, all military had them and the side.
Makes sense. It would make it way easier to slide, like those big boxes you were showing me the other day.
Yeah. And those cleats that you've got over there, it would have had a load of those cleats.
Yeah.
In the back for lashing things down.
These boys,
ones, yeah. A lot of them have been missed. They've been took out.
Yeah, and they've got them down low
That's
as well.
Right. It should be down the bottom as well.
Yeah.
These little, if you can see these little, these things here.
Yeah.
You should see one there. There should be one. Oh, I've just got 4. These, they look quite innocuous little things. You think, oh, what are they for? Well, when you put the radio operator's seat in, so there's your radio operator's seat, which would go in the back on clips.
Yeah.
Literally underneath there'd be a little leather thong with a slit in it, and that slit goes over that little protrusion. It just stops the seat moving.
Yeah. Those are those little leather bits that your dad made for you, aren't
That's
they?
it. Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's the so it would have had possibly 2 or even 4 radio operator seats, depending on how many sets were in use. And then
look good.
On the tailgate, as we discussed before, your Pioneer kit.
Yeah.
So your pickaxe head,
Yeah.
and your handle, and then your spade across the back. You've got your NATO electrics already there for your NATO trailer. The NATO hitch is there. Bob's missing his overriders, but you have got them, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you've got the overriders.
Yeah, a bit dented up, but
They can be beaten straight.
And the NATO hitch would have been red, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they can be. When they're depends on what the vehicle was doing. If it was actually in service and deployed somewhere, it would have just been daubed whatever colour they wanted.
Yeah.
But generally, they paint them red, and obviously the half shaft nuts as well, just to denote "do not touch."
Yeah.
So when we're talking about half shaft nuts, we're talking about these ones round here.
Yeah.
Because there has been instances where certain squaddies have undone these to change the wheel, and they end up with a half staff hanging out and loads of oil, and then things get messy.
Yeah, it's not good.
No. So that's your general overview, and obviously the hoops for the canvas. There is a centre hoop as well. It goes up and over, and a couple of crossbars.
Yeah, we were trying it the other night, weren't we, just to see what the hoops were like.
See what the hoops sit. They sit on quite well, and then obviously the canvas roof to go back on.
Yeah. We're going to change the body on Bob, aren't we? We're going to switch this one out because
this is
it's
just
not
got
great.
Too much. It's just got too much damage, and the fact that we've got a decent body outside on a breaker. Yeah, we've got another FFR outside that we're breaking. The chassis is completely shot, so we might as well just swap the back body. So yeah, just change what. I mean, if it hadn't got quite so much damage, then it could have been repaired, but it's just not economical. You'd probably spend 3 or 4 weeks doing that for, well, you can just change it.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so you've got a huge array of radio equipment, haven't you, here?
Yes.
So is this some of the stuff that we're doing in Bob?
Yes. This is a cross-section of some of the radio transmitting receivers that they would have used. This is all Klansman, which is a family of radios that they used. If I remember rightly, they went from early 70s to right up into the 90s. They used the Klansman family of radios. So starting this end, this is the PRC 320. So this is, quote me if I'm wrong here, I think it's a HF set. I'm not that up on radios. It also does AM. So that would have been used in GS vehicles. So non-FFR, but GS, if they needed a radio setting. This could also be used as a man pack on your back. Do you guys remember the Falklands yomping scene where you saw the paratroopers going across wherever it was to Goose Green? And there was a guy with a radio with a flag on, and he had the Union flag on it. This is the radio that he was using. Were they going to Goose Green? I think something like that, can't remember. So that's the PRC 320. There's another little radio there. That's the RT 350. Another kind of radio. Sometimes vehicle mounted, but mainly mounted on the chest, so you could use it as a personal radio. This is a pure vehicle mounted set. This thing weighs about 25 kilograms. It's got valves in it and voodoo and all sorts of things. This is the RT353 HF set again. So Bob will be having one of these. Next to this set will be a DMU, which is a digital master unit, and that's an encryption device so Mr. Johnny Foreigner can't listen to what we're talking about. So that would sit next to it. This is a later radio. This is a Ptarmigan Triffid unit, which is going into one of my FFRs. We'll talk about that perhaps in another episode, Dave.
Yeah, I think so.
These are man packs as well, as you can see by their very nature. You can put them on your back.
They've got a little stand so you can
Got a
stand
little
on the
stand
floor.
so you can stand them up.
Yeah.
So these are the PRC. If I can't get it back in. PRC 251 and 252 with the amp on. So you got, I think it's 5 watts, and then that gives it 20 watts. Extra range, extra power. That's a surf unit. There's a little dial on there so you can indicate your, tune in your aerials. Same as the box on the wing on Bob, but just a smaller version so you can match your antenna. I think that's the right numbers. Please don't kill me in the comments if they're wrong. So we've got a few of those. Some more QAM units. Then you've got different antennas, ground spike antennas. Another radio here. This is a 344, I think it is. Yes, it is. So this is a UHF ground to air radio. So all these would be troop to troop, troop to HQ. If the ground forces wanted to call in an air attack or an air strike, this is the radio that you would have used. So the ground forces could talk to the RAF and say, give me some bombs here, and this is the radio that you'd use. Very, very, very fragile aerial. Looks like a tape measure to me.
It does, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. In fact, I did repair the one on Pinky with actually a tape measure. Paint it green, you can't tell. But all these radios work within a degree. Some work well, some don't work that well, because obviously they're a few years old now. And obviously all the equipment that goes with it, different. You've got the mast at the back, which is a 15-metre mast.
Yeah, so the mast's interesting, isn't it? Because isn't that pump operated, so it
is.
It lifts?
On the back of Florence, we've got a bracket that you can bolt that to, and then there's a little, and the aerial goes ding, 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 ding. So 15 metres up, and you put what's known as a pineapple on the top, which is a device that looks like a pineapple. Have I got one lying around? I don't think I have, but you get the kind of gist. It looks like a pineapple, and then the antenna rods, depending on how many you need, fit on top. Some of these are brand new, so that's for your antennas. All this other stuff is for intercommunication between all the different radios. Also, you've got a system that doesn't use any frequencies, it uses a cable, and that's what this is. Anybody that's been in the forces will know what this is. This is DON 10. It's just a pair of twisted cables. So if you've got a forward observer looking at enemy movements, you would run DON 10 from him to the back of a Land Rover, which would clip in to those two terminals there. You see these two?
Yep.
And there's even a little wire stripper there. So you put your wire in, pull it down, strip it, and then you can put it into there. Most radios have got that. If you look at the 353, there you go. There's your two DON 10 connectors, but somebody stole the wire stripper that should be there. So what that happens then is your forward observer with his handset would say, we've got tanks coming up, blah, blah. You'd flick your switches, and then you'd use frequency and send to somebody else, we've got tanks at blah, blah. Then you get the orders back, and then you'd switch back to DON 10 and go, right, shoot them, and that's how it would work. They say that there's more There's more of this in Germany. There is of Frankfurters, but you know, they say they even found Don 10 on the moon, but I don't know how true that is. But yeah, there's a lot of that floating around in Germany. That's also the same as well, twisted pairs. So that's for your, you know, your communications when you're connected together. All sorts of other bits and bobs. I buy a lot direct from the military, so it's potluck what you get. We get some brand new stuff. We get some old stuff. We just get very, very cool stuff. I mean, look how cool that is. How cool is that?
Yeah, that
fire.
is mighty cool.
Yeah.
What would that have been on?
That's out of an Iveco Panther, a liaison and command vehicle. One of the stillages that I bought had got a complete radio installation kit in it. God knows how many thousands of pounds that would have cost.
Yeah.
But all this gear was in it, all these shelving units.
Do you know it's in there, or is it like random?
Totally random.
Wow.
You get a picture of the pallet and then the stillage, and then you just buy it.
It's exciting, isn't it? It's almost like gambling.
So, yeah. So sometimes you get good, sometimes you get bad, sometimes you get a little nugget and go, you know, that was worth it. I mean, I could probably sell that to, I don't know, to the right person, £100.
Yeah.
Well, the stillage only cost me 75. So, you know, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Especially when you're buying radios. Sometimes they're good, and sometimes they're dead.
Yeah, and that's what you've got, isn't it? Here,
Yeah.
where you sort of.
You can see where I've tested them. RX good, transmit's dead.
Yeah.
That one's totally dead. So yeah, some you win, some you lose.
And we were saying the other night when we were lifting the top off that, Bob, you could have had a tent that fits on the back as well.
Yes.
So like a connection piece then
Correct.
onto a 9x9.
So we've got a 9x9 here. There's the sack for the 9x9 and the poles. So you'd set up your tent, and there would be an interconnecting tunnel bit that would go round the back of Bob and across the bottom, and would connect perfectly to your tent. So you got comms in the back of the vehicle, and you'd have command and control in the tent. You know, a mat board or tables, typewriters, laptops, you name it. You know.
Yeah.
So you've got other command and control systems in the tent.
It makes absolute sense, doesn't it? Then, because you can just move in between the two freely, and you don't.
It would have a pipe on
weather.
the exhaust to take the fumes away. Sometimes they'd have a generator running, so you didn't need to have Bob running. It would run on a generator.
Yeah.
We've actually got a generator under there, a genuine military generator.
Wow.
That I bought from a show for 50 quid, and it works perfect.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's just potluck. What you get. But yeah, it's still great. It's green and it's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Super cool.
Super cool. So we're going to have a look at Florence.
Yep, so I think we're going to go and take a look in Florence, which is one of Mick's FFRs. She's actually...
It's actually owned by a gentleman called Don, who was a Breamy ASM, so hello Don.
Okay.
Hello sir. He hates being called sir, so if you ever see Don, call him sir.
So yeah, and that Florence is a CL, isn't she?
Yeah, Florence originally was a CL, which is a commercial logistic vehicle. Basically, when the military put an order in for, say, 50 Land Rovers, military Land Rovers, and then it could only supply 30, they would semi-militarise a civilian Land Rover and sell it as a CL, which meant it hadn't got the rear cross member, it hadn't got the same chassis, it had got a few little Gucci parts, but not a full-on military spec, but it still fulfilled the order.
Yeah.
Florence did start as a CL, but I've kind of changed it into semi-FFR. She's got the right cross member, she's got the right bits and bobs, but she's still 12 volt, so, but you'll see it still looks the part.
But so in military class, you've got GS,
Yeah,
CL,
yeah.
and then what Bob is FFR.
And then lightweight.
Yeah.
And then 1 ton, which was 101, which
Yeah.
is a whole different kettle of fish than Rapier
They're
and all
awesome, aren't they?
Yeah.
The 1 tons.
and the ambulances as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right, should we go and have a look at Florence?
Let's go and have a look at Florence.
Right, so this is Florence, isn't it?
This is Florence. So this is the setup that a typical FFR would have. As we talked about, you can see the flags and the dexing that goes across the back with all the various things bolted to it. So starting with your 353, as we showed you in the workshop. Then we've got the DMU, which is the digital master unit next to it. And in this compartment here, you would have had a crypto brick with a crypto fill, which would have gone into there. So all the people that are on the same frequency as yourself and talking to each other would have all the same crypto brick, so you could talk to each other. So, but unfortunately, you can't get the brick because they're still under the Official Secrets Act. So,
will they ever be released? Or
I don't know, to be honest, Dave. So we unfortunately, that even though this is powered, it can't work. This works. This is all powered and it works. Everything else works as it should. Batteries are in the bottom of here. Obviously you can see the acid splash. This is the radio table that Bob will have. I'll just fitted a little pocket there as well for extra cables and bits and bobs. These are your aerials, your antennas. These were particularly useful as draft excluders. So that's those. So starting from the right, you've got your man pack on a radio bracket, which is connected to the DCCU, which is your charger. So that takes the 24 volts from here into here, converts it to round into the battery for the man pack, so that's permanently on charge. In turn, that could be connected to the Land Rover via initiation box, and that could be connected to one of the wing boxes on the front, so you can actually operate that radio using the antenna on the front instead of the flexible battle whip that would go into the top of the unit. This is a combining box, so when the guy's listening with his headphones on, he could actually listen to both radios at different frequencies in each ear, and then depending on how you had it set, you could alter the way it worked. This is a loudspeaker amplifier, so coming from this one into the loudspeaker, into the amp would come out of the loudspeaker, and depending on which set you were listening to, you could alter each set to come out that one speaker. That's called an RFAT unit. That's connected to the 353, and that also then directly connects to the QAM unit that's on the front wing. So when you hold this into test position, which is around here, or the tune position, you hold that for 2 seconds, the red light stays on, and you hear the front wing box going jigga 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 jigga. When the light goes out, you know that the aerial's tuned. Working out, these are quite old, and the instructions do tell you, or the CES tells you, that when you turn these on, you have to wait at least 5 minutes for them to warm up. That's how old they are.
But it's incredible tech, isn't it? The fact that, like it all tune itself and do all of that.
Yeah. There's your DON 10 connectors as we were talking about. There's your frequency changer. And then you turn that to turn your individual frequencies. Now this, I believe this will go from, what will it go from? 30 megahertz, all the way up to 70 megahertz. We'll actually go a little bit higher than that, won't it? It'll go to 70, 79, 75. So that's how you tune that in. Same again, you can tune all this into whatever you want to do, talk to each other. And along with the radios, you'd have something called a Batco wallet. And the Batco wallet has got charts in there for certain types of encryption. So when you're sending messages through, you use your Batco wallet to decipher what you're actually sending. And there's all sorts of other things that go with it, which I'm not really familiar with. I wasn't a scaly back. So there you go. That's the basic rundown of what Bob's going to get in the back of the vehicle. And you also notice there's plenty earth straps everywhere to cut down on RF, which is radio frequency interference, rogue RF.
And that's why we've got the shielded ignition systems in it on the FFR.
Exactly, yeah. On the FFR, they have a shielded ignition system, so the radio doesn't pick up any of the high voltage from the coil or the distributor or the spark plugs.
Yeah.
Which could cause interruption in the signals.
And then Florence has got a bench seat, hasn't she? But
She has.
Would they have come with bench seats, or would there be the individual?
No, they would normally have the individual radio operator's seats.
Yeah.
This was just something I put in just so
They're nice,
we
though,
can
aren't
carry
they?
people. Yeah, they're not exactly comfortable, but I didn't put one that side because it interferes with the toolbox. But because Florence hasn't got a pure military body on the back, she hasn't got a toolbox this side because it's got the old fuel filler on the side.
Yeah.
Even though it's not used, it's still got the under seat tanks, but the aperture is still there, so that stops you having a toolbox this side.
Got you.
Still got the runners in, you can see. Now this hasn't got cleats. You see down the sides.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's ever had them. No, she hasn't. Never had them. So that's something else that doesn't get fitted to a CO.
Yeah.
Doesn't have them. So that's it. That's what you're going to get in the back of Bob.
Oh, that's awesome. It's exciting, isn't it?
Absolutely. So cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, if you pass your radio amateurs exam,
Yeah.
we could talk to each other.
Oh, that's awesome.
That would be cool.
It would be good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Mick. It's nice to see what we're trying to go and try and do with Bob.
Yeah, yeah.
And what he's going to look
You
like.
can see an end goal, can't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.